All right, guys, now that we've got the antennas set, everything's set, one of the things we want to check now is, as I've been building this, one thing that I can show you is that 2 of the screws have already fallen out. Now, these may have been shorter screws. I'm going to check real quickly. But there is an issue with people flying drones and the screws actually falling out of the motors. And what's happening is the motors, it causes the vibration and the screws will start unscrewing themselves, okay? Now, there's 2 things you can do to solve that. I'm going to show you one method here, which is actually, we use a syringe, okay? And this is a silicone, this is basically like a silicone or rubber glue. But the most common thing to do is use blue LocTite. I don't have any here with me, but your teacher, if you're doing this in a classroom, your teacher may have some. And if not, then you could just get some online or what have you. But blue, not red LocTite, because that's permanent. But you're basically going to follow the same steps that I'm doing right here. If I had LocTite, I would do the same thing. Find a little plastic bag or something you can put it on. Take the screws, okay, just like this. All right. And have it on your screwdriver and just take the tip of it, just the end, just like that. That's all you need, just that much, okay? And then go ahead and screw it in. What that's going to do is it's going to form a bond in there, and then in a few minutes, those screws won't fall out anymore. So you can opt to do that with all the screws that you're using, okay? When it's time to take the screws out, you will be able to unscrew them. Just understand that they're going to hold really well while you're flying, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and do some of these here just because they are loose. So I'm going to go ahead and just touch these up real quick. We're not going to mess with that too much. I'll go back and do the rest of it. I'm just going to finish this one out because I want to make sure I know which ones I've done. So let me finish this one real quickly. But you get the idea here. So just make sure that you follow that if you want to use LocTite, or else, yeah, there's probably a good chance that through your flying, I think I did this one already. This is the problem, is I can never remember. You don't want to just skip around. You want to do one motor and finish it. I did not do that one. Go ahead and add that on there. And there we go. All right, now I'll go back and go through the rest of this and finish the rest later, but just keep track. So what we're gonna do now is let's go ahead and just look at our drone here before we're ready to do anything else. Let's make sure everything's attached properly. All our plugs are in place. Everything looks good, all right? And I think we're fastened here. All our tape is good. We have our battery strap here, and just so you know, the reason it's upside down is because, oh, you have to put your battery sticker on. So here's what you have. If you have the square, you basically want to cut what looks like a stop sign or octagon out of it, right? Because you want to make it get around these screws. Now, I've already done that here, and all you're going to do is once you give it enough space, you're going to stick this on just like that. And that's so that your battery doesn't go sliding all over the place, and I'll give you an example of what that will look like, okay? So let's just say we have this battery here, which is going to be bigger than the one you're using, but it's a good example, all right? So when we put the battery on, just like this, it's going to go on the bottom. We're going to wrap the strap over, go through this plastic loop here, right? And then you bring it back and fasten it, okay? That's what this should look like. You'll have a smaller battery. This is for a bigger drone. You'll have a smaller battery, but that silicone pad that we just put on stops the battery from sliding all over the place, okay? So then it just sits like that, and you'd be ready to fly, all right? So as long as we have our strap here, good, that's good. Looking at this, we need to make sure our camera, everything's wired in, make sure there's no metal touching, make sure everything looks good with the wires and they're all connected. At this point, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and do a check with your voltage meter, okay, your multimeter here. And what we want to do is we want to check for continuity. We want to make sure there's no ground on this at all, okay, nothing shorted. So we're going to go to this continuity test right here, right, which is this basically these echo signs like you see right there. Let me see if I can show you that right there, okay, that symbol, which is right here. And you'll know you're on it because when you touch it, you hear a beep. That means that if I was to touch this black, well, and it doesn't matter if I put red or black on here, I don't have to match the colors. But if I touch these two and I hear a beep, and it's a long-lasting beep, then we know we have a problem. There's no beep there at all, so we know that we're not grounded at this point. But we also have to check the rest of the items, so let's just go around, and let's make sure that we don't have any other areas that are grounded. Okay, and so if you look like perhaps, let's see, you can check your components here, but it's not going to help you much unless you were to take one of the plugs out. So the main thing here I think will be, let's just go ahead and make sure that we check this main cable right here. And if we have nothing, we should be okay, all right? That's the first help. Now, you should have a smoke stopper also attached to your power source. This is a smoke stopper right here, all right? This basically will should blow the circuit here before it damages your quad if you plug it in and there's a short. It's not guaranteed to always work, but it is a pretty good option to have. And so I believe if you're going to be doing this, you need to have one of these at least handy. Once you use it though, and it's been used and abused a few times, you're pretty much done with it and you have to get another one, but they're only a few bucks. It's nothing bad. Once we're done, we can do the first test. Now the first test is going to be to just power it on and see if we can hear these startup tones, okay? Now for me, guys, I have to disconnect my video transmitter here because it will interrupt our video that we're making for you guys. So I'm going to disconnect this. You don't. You leave yours on. You're not shooting a video for tutorials or anything, so you're not going to interrupt your cameras. But I will tell you that this can, because of the frequencies, these run the same frequencies as your Wi-Fi in your home and in your classroom. So this can disrupt the Wi-Fi signal. So just be prepared for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this plug out. Okay. And again, you guys don't do that. I'm just going to do it here because I need to make sure that it doesn't interrupt our tutorial. All right, my VTX power is gone, so we're good now. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my smoke stopper. I'm going to plug it directly in to my power source. Actually, I use a converter here, and I'm going to get my wire set. Okay, just like that, and I'm going to plug in like this. Now, what I want to hear is the tones. I want to hear the tones, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. Here goes. Those are the tones. So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you hear those tones and nothing, there's no magic smoke coming out, you've done it. You've done a great job, and so far everything's good. You've got lights on. You'll have a second area of lights, which is where your VTX is. Mine's not plugged in, so you don't see those. But right now, we're good to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off. Our checks are good, and now we're going to go and start our beta flight programming, guys. Good job. Congratulations making it this far. I'll be right back.